Hey everyone, my name is Veronica. Welcome to Everyday Veronica. I set up this channel because I love everything related to makeup and hair products and skincare and home decor and bargain shopping on Amazon and Marshalls and TJ Maxx and all of those sorts of things. How to set up your home, makeup techniques, makeup brushes, all of the above. I really enjoy get ready with me videos. I love product review videos. I love chatty videos. I hope that you do too. That is the purpose of this channel. I've been on YouTube for about a year. I have a channel called Veronica Says that I thought might be all of the above plus fragrance. And as the year went on, the viewership for that channel was interested mostly in fragrance, and the makeup stuff over there didn't do so well. I don't think folks were very interested in that, and that's totally okay. Isn't it wonderful that you can have different content on YouTube for different kinds of interests? So if you're here, I hope that you are interested in all things that help you look your best, be it on your body, clothing, your home, whatever. We're here in my bathroom. Why? Because I wanted to be real on this channel about where I get ready and how I get ready, and hope that it either helps you or that you can relate to it. Maybe you have some tips to share with me too that will help me up my makeup and get ready game. So I hope that this content is for you and that you will stick around. If you prefer fragrances, feel free to join me on Veronica Says. If you like both, subscribe to both. This is for you, for your enjoyment. So let's get right to it and jump into some good old-fashioned content. So I'm back in my robe because it got a little bit cold. This is my ratty winter Christmassy robe that I love, and my little headband to keep my hair out of my face. When I think about makeup routines for the day, and it really depends on how you're gonna live your life that day, at least for me, sometimes I like to go on and do like what you call a full beat. The entire makeup routine finished with highlighter and fake lashes and the whole nine, so you can be like your best glammed up self. And then there's like tiers that go down from there. So the very simplest routine is on a Saturday. I might put on like a tinted moisturizer, do a little crease shade in my eyeshadow, some mascara, and I'm out the door. You know, some lip gloss, real simple. And then there's everything in between. So what I'm gonna do today for this first video on this channel is a few steps down from the full beat, like a face of makeup, but not quite at the super glam level. I'm also filming this at the time of the Sephora VIB sale, and you know I have filled up the cart several times at this point and checked out, and I'm filling up my third cart. But I'm trying to use up some of the other products that I have purchased during the years that I do like, and I don't want to declutter them because they're fine. There's nothing wrong with them, but I do want to go on and rotate them out of my collection and use them up as much as possible. One is the Laura Mercier Pure Canvas Primer. And this is for all over the face, just to put a little bit more moisture on my face. It's getting into the colder months here. I live in Central Virginia. The air is getting a little bit drier. I have naturally combination skin. The middle T-zone of my face is oily, and then there's normal skin sort of around the edges in terms of oil production. But I'm never gonna turn down a little bit of extra moisture. I'd rather be more on the oily side, if you will, than on the dry side. Again, it depends on what you're doing. If I'm gonna be taking photos, of course I wanna be, well, not always, but typically as matte as possible. But this one has some good moisture in it. I wouldn't repurchase this, but it's really just a nice primer. So that's that. I'm gonna use the Hourglass Veil as an eyeshadow primer. People have different opinions about primers for face and eyeshadow primers. Some don't use them at all and don't feel like it makes a difference. I just use a little like dot and then tap like that. And then others feel like the laying down of the primer really does give something for the rest of the makeup to grip onto. I would say if you have oilier skin, it can be a little bit tricky because then you have multiple layers of things sort of breaking down during the day and getting oily as your day goes on. I like primers. I think they do make a difference. especially good ones. I'm also incredibly in love with the Becca Anti-Fatigue Under Eye Primer that looks like the blue stuff in here. I am milking this for its last drops. Becca's going out of business, at least I think. So I went ahead and purchased about 9 of those. Yeah, I'm obsessed with it. But I put it under my eyes to just kind of spackle in the fine lines. As I've gotten older, the lines under my eyes have gotten a little bit more pronounced, and it makes my concealer kind of cakey during the day. So this I find helps. There are probably other products that do the same thing, but I haven't experimented with them. So this is the only one that I can tell you about right now. Next, I typically like to do concealer and foundation, and then a little bit of light powder over that. I'm going in with the CoverGirl True Blend Undercover Concealer in the color Golden Natural M100. I like a peaceful morning where I have time to get ready. I don't always have time. I have a lot of things that I'm doing in the morning. By the way, I like to put this in like the darkest parts of my face. Some people do like down in here, but for a day like today, I'm just gonna keep the concealer routine simple. And I typically like to use my fingers, but there are lots and lots of concealer brushes and stuff. We'll play with some as the channel goes on. Anyway, I'm typically up super early, like with the cows. I call it keeping farm hours. I'm getting up at like somewhere between 4 and 5:30 a.m. because I have a lot of activities that I do in the morning, including some errands that I run. And then I'm home after that to get ready for work. And I typically give myself, if I'm doing anything past just your regular Saturday, like moisturizing skin tint kind of routine for my face, I like to give myself a minimum of an hour to get ready. I know that sounds like a lot, but it's true, between makeup and hair and figuring out what I'm gonna wear. Now, because I'm working from home, most of my outfits, I am wetting my sponge here so I can do my foundation, but most of my outfits are really simple. I seriously just wear yoga pants or workout pants and a simple top. I do work from home, so I'm on video camera, and I want to be decent, right? I want to be business on the top, not exactly party on the bottom, but comfort on the bottom, because I'm sitting at a desk all day. So it's not like I take a long time to figure out what I'm going to wear, but it does take a minute or two to get all of that together. I'm using as a foundation the IT Cosmetics Your Skin But Better Foundation and Skincare. So while I have some holy grail products that I really, really love, I have a large collection of cosmetics from drugstore to high-end and luxury and everything in between. And I like to rotate through them as much as possible. When it comes to foundation, so I've sprayed a little bit on my little grody sponge. This sponge, this is the Real Technique sponge. I have a bunch of these, and I use each one for a disgusting number of not just weeks, but months. I know. A dermatologist would probably cringe, but I haven't had any issues yet. So anyway, sometimes I put it on my face and sometimes I put it on the sponge and just kind of dot around to distribute. So I like to rotate through my products as much as possible to give them all love. I probably got, I don't know, somewhere in the neighborhood of like 30 foundations or more. Same thing with concealers. I really enjoy the base products. My favorite product is bronzer. Maybe I'll do a whole video dedicated to how to use bronzer for an entire face look. Such a versatile product. But I like to rotate through my products as much as possible because if you don't, they cry. My foundations, they yell at me when I walk by them. Use me. I also like to make sure that I'm shaking up my foundations every couple of weeks or so to keep the products from like permanently separating and never getting back together, the materials inside. Keep them nice and blended. I find I have a lot of foundation brushes, and yeah, I use some from time to time, but I'm gonna tell you what, nothing is better than a wet sponge that has been wrung out, and this Real Techniques is super duper fabulous. So now we have concealer and foundation, and you see how my face, I think, still looks natural. So you can still see gradations of color. It's not like I've washed all of my undertones and peculiarities on my skin out, but I faded them, and it's a bit of a blurred effect on the skin, which is what I'm going for today. Now, in recent years, I've gotten in the habit of setting my foundation with a powder. I would just caution folks when you do that to really think about, do you want your foundation to last longer, and is that why you're setting it? Because if you're not careful and you overset, you use too much, overset is not actually like a verb, right? I just made that up. Ooh. But if you use too much powder, your face can look a little bit cakey. Now, because I'm on video camera all day, it actually has a nice blurring effect. But face to face, like if you look in the mirror during the day, or like my husband works from home too, he can probably see, he's never said anything, he's so nice, but he can probably see that it feels a little built up. So I have to be careful not to apply too much powder, especially under the eyes, like super careful under there, since I do have lines that begin to crease after a while naturally, and just sort of stick to the perimeter of the face as much as possible. I'm using the Aquasurance Compact Foundation, really affordable, awesome foundation. This is in the color light beige. I have like 3 or 4 of these. Tati Westbrook turned me on to these, and I love them. This could be a whole, full coverage foundation on its own. You really don't need to apply foundation and then powder on top. But since I'm an oily gal, I find that it helps keep the oil at bay for just a little bit longer than if I don't. I also like to go down the neck with my foundation and with my powder. Just be careful with that, especially if you're wearing an outfit, a shirt that comes up high, because it will rub off, especially if there's darker color, you'll see it on your shirt and then you look a little crazy. Next, I typically like to bronze up my face to add some depth in certain places, like along my cheek line and around the perimeter of my face, warm it up. I'm gonna use the sculpting powder from Physicians Formula. This is a particularly dark color. I feel comfortable using this because I've got this warm color on my face now, and I applied some of that. I'm using a Sonia G Sculpt 2 brush, which looks like that. There's a lot of controversy about using bronzer as sculpt as well. I really don't care. I like using it for both. Yes, sometimes I go in with a cool sculpt and then a warm bronzer. I get the difference. We can talk about that another time. But for the purposes of just sitting here working from home, I'm just gonna go in with one to add some color around the edge of my face and sculpt out a little bit. On camera, no one can tell the difference. I also like to put a little bit under my chin there to just carve out just a tad. Add a little bit of definition there. Now, when you wash your face at night, I suggest using an oil cleanser first, like an oily balm for your face to remove powder. Make sure if you do this that you're getting back up in here around and under your ears, because the bronzer collects back there and it can get a little grody. I like to put a little bit of definition there, and I also like to just do a little bit down the edge of my nose for some definition. Are you shopping the Sephora VIB sale? If so, what are you getting in the sale? I think my biggest splurge, I know, my biggest splurge is that I finally bought a Dyson hairdryer. I've only had my hair done once with the Dyson hairdryer, and I liked it. I thought my hair looked a little greasier, but I think that might be because of the products that the stylist was using. So I like to take the bronzer and put it there in like the whole crease as sort of a lay down shade that my shadow will then go over. I think it adds some nice depth and color to my face. Let's go in then with eyeshadow next. I have a ridiculously large eyeshadow collection. Through the years, I've collected a lot of palettes. I've actually given a lot away because what I've come to realize is that I have some favorite formulas. Pat McGrath and Natasha Denona are my gals. I mean, they put something out, especially if it's a big palette, I'm buying it, no matter what. And there are some that are better than others, but in general, as a whole, their formulas have been the most consistent for me, the most luxurious on the eye, and they last all day. It's really hard to beat that. And I usually put my makeup on, like I said, super early in the morning, and I'm going till about 9ish at night when I take my makeup off, somewhere in that time range. I really need my makeup to stay on the whole day. So I've given a lot away, but I've kept my Pat and my Natasha, some Urban Decay, I have some Viseart, some Tom Ford, and a few others. Maybe do I have Tarte? I might have some Tarte. Just a few others. We can talk about the collection another time. But the way that I choose my eyeshadow, because I can never decide, oh, and I have Sydney Grace. I love Sydney Grace. Is that I use a randomizer. So check out this little video clip of me figuring out what eyeshadow palette I want to use today. What eyeshadow are we wearing today? And Bronze Seduction. Yeah, no, I don't want to wear that today. Let's try something else. Yeah, let's see. Enduring Love. Also no. Boom! Sublime. No. One more time. This is it. This is the one I'm going to use no matter what. I'm going to use this one. This one right here. Biba. Boom! Let's do it. So it's gonna be Lady Biba. This is the palette that I used for my wedding. I really love this palette. I'm holding it upside down here. It's got such a nice combination. Even though it's called the Neutral palette from Natasha Denona, it actually has some really lovely warm shades in here. I don't find this neutral at all, except for maybe, actually these are cool toned down here. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. It's a beautiful palette with a lot of versatile colors in it, and a great palette for both everyday and taking you to night. So let's get into the eyeshadow. With Natasha Denona, you can go in quads in her palettes. You can go in diagonals. You can go down a row or across a row. My understanding is that that is how she has set up her colors so that you can work with them that way. I think I'm gonna stick with this top row here and use this as what I call a background shade. Some people call it a transition shade. I think it just provides some nice background on the eye. I like to go in with a big fluffy brush first and lay down a swath of color for the rest of the shadows to play against. And typically with my brushes, we can talk about brush techniques another time, but you hold at the end, at least I like to hold at the end, and I like to apply very lightly to begin with. And I like to do different techniques. Today I'm just gonna do a whole, the Nike swoosh, swoosh on the eye. So that was the color Freckle that I just applied. I'm gonna go in with Cocoa and deepen up the crease area. Quick little tip about putting shadow in the crease. You can follow the line of your crease, but if you want to like lift and expand the eye, it helps to put your shadow almost above the crease as a crease shade. So like up in here. This brush that I'm using is a bit grody. I haven't really cleaned off the eyeshadow from the day before. True story. So it's a little bit gross. It's picking up the darker shadow from yesterday that I used. And it's also just not the highest quality brush. It's kind of a cheapy brush, so, which is nothing wrong with cheap brushes, but I don't mean price-wise, I mean quality-wise. Price has nothing to do with quality sometimes, guys. So anyway, I'm gonna also just darken up this outer V, as it's called, to add some definition and depth to the eye. And just a tip, if you feel like you've done too much, like I went in here, just use your fingers and kind of blur out, make sure your fingers are clean and you don't have extra product on them. You can use your fingers to help blend things together. And if you have that primer down, it also helps to glide over the skin on your eyelids. So I have a little bit of depth. I want to warm it up a little bit more. So I'm going back in with that color Cocoa. I'm just adding in a little bit more here. Yeah. I think I want to use this shimmery shade here called Rustic on the outer part of the eyelid and shine on the inner part. And usually when it comes to shimmers, you can use brushes, absolutely. I always find that fingers are best. That said, it depends on how crumbly the shadow is. If it's very crumbly, you may want to apply on a brush, like a packer brush, and then spritz it with some setting spray so that it doesn't go anywhere, and then pack it onto your eyelid. Going in with that lighter shine color now. I could just stop right here, like this look is fine. I can just do a little bit of eyeliner and some mascara and be done. But I'm always doing a little bit extra. So I just took my fingers and also put them on the inner, like that tear duct area right there on the inside to add a little bit of brightening punch to the inner corners of my eyes. I'm taking a brush like this, which is the Sonia G Worker 3. A little bit tighter and denser, and I'm picking up this Tusk color here because I want to add some light definition here at the top to create the illusion that this part of the eye is popping out a bit more. Doesn't really show up very well here on the camera, but in person it makes it look like this part is popped out a little bit more and that part is deeper in. And in fact, I want to deepen that up a little bit more and buff that out a little bit more. It's looking a little bit, the edges are a bit ragged there. So the way that I do that is to put in a little bit more color, or you can do the opposite. Take a clean brush and kind of fluff it all together, like blend it all together. In fact, you can take the same brush that you used for your transition shade and just kind of blur out the edges. My advice too, when you're at the corners of your eyes, is instead of doing it like this, move your brush to the side so that it's getting at the skin better, in a better way. That's a little bit more blended out, a little bit more seamless. You don't want like these harsh transitions between your dark and lighter shadows, because then you look like a clown. Have we looked like a clown before? I know I have. Have you? I have made some serious makeup mistakes during the years and continue to. It's still, I'm going back in with that freckle to add a little bit more of the transition shade and pulling that out to the sides like so. I love to deepen in the corners here. I don't always do that. It depends on if you're going for like a sultry look or cleaner look. In this case, I think it adds a little bit of sultriness to deepen in this part, the socket of the eye. People don't talk about that a lot. I want to do something in the lower line. As I get older, the more I want a soft, muted color in the lower line. So I'm going to go in with that freckle. By the way, guys, if you haven't gotten into it yet, use shadow for eyeliner. Especially if you're older. I mean, it works at any age, but as you're older, it's just a lot more forgiving than your liner, pencils, and so forth. And I like to keep it, unless I'm going for like an evening glam look or like a full face, I like to keep it a little bit lighter than I have in the past. In the past, I used to do like a heavy dark liner on the inner waterline. Y'all remember that from the 90s. Don't pretend. And I'm going in with the Cocoa for the outer edge. I always use a little brush like what you see here, these little like smudger brushes for the lower line. Makes life a lot easier. You can also then use the eyeshadow for just your regular eyeliner on the top of your eyelid too. Yeah, let's do that. I'm gonna go in with that same brownish cocoa color along the outer edges of my eye to add some definition. It deepens it up. That's enough for me for today. What I like to do next, because I want to give it time to dry, is I want to curl my lashes and put on mascara. And then I do my eyebrows and put a little cheek color on. Now, a lot of people talk about warming up your lash curler. Sometimes I just do that by holding it like that and applying just a little bit of warmth so it's no longer cold. You can use a hair dryer. And some people put it in their bra. It works to warm it up. I like to put it on almost near the base and pump a little bit. I don't know if that technique yields me anything, but boy, does it make me feel like I'm doing something. And then I loosen it and bring it out a little bit further and start to curl kind of like that, like sideways. See the difference between the eyelashes? And I find the key to mascara, first of all, go ahead and experiment with a bunch of mascaras so you know what works for your eye shape. Each eye shape is different. Eyelashes are different, eyelash density and length is different from person to person. Curl patterns are different. So I find that taking other people's mascara advice is one of the hardest things to do. It hasn't yielded me good results because you really have to experiment on your eye shape and lashes. So for me, one that works, I have like almond shaped eyes. I have probably medium length eyelashes with a decent density. They're not sparse and they're decently long. They're not the longest lashes in the world. I have about 3 or 4 mascaras that I really love, and one of them is Monsieur Big from Lancome. I love that it's like a wet formula. It's got this really messy looking brush, which I think does well with my eyelashes. And for me, the key to applying mascara, and I've learned this the hard way, is to blink down onto it. Instead of like brushing up, for me, I think it's best to just hold it there and blink down onto it. I don't put it quite at the base of my eyelashes, but very near the base. I don't put it at the base because then stuff transfers onto my actual eyelid and it looks terrible, and then I have to clean that up. I also, when I pull it out, the wand off, I like to wipe off the bottom glop on like a microfiber towel or something. I also like to slightly twist the wand as I'm blinking down when I remember to do so. I don't always remember. And then I like to just touch it up and fan out a little bit. You don't want to overwork your mascara. I've done that on many days, and in fact, I'm doing that today during this video, and I've gotten some on my eyeshadow. For the lower lashes, my little Scott Barnes technique, he's J-Lo's makeup artist. I love Scott Barnes. He says just put it at the base and just kind of flick out. Don't try to actually like brush your lower lash strands. It's too much. Experiment with that and see how that works for your eyes. So there's like a glam office look for the eyes. Let's go on and do the eyebrows and the cheeks and the lips. On my eyebrows, I'm using the Precisely My Brow pencil in 3.5 from Benefit. Now, I could leave my eyebrows as they are and just kind of use a little bit of eyebrow mascara with a color on it. Nothing wrong with my eyebrow shape, but I do like to fill it in just a little bit more, especially since I'm on video camera. It gives my eyebrows a bit more definition. So, you know, about the video camera thing, am I doing this so that my colleagues think I'm cute? No, I mean, certainly they don't need to be looking at my ragged face, right? Like if they have to be on video camera with me, they deserve to look at something that looks at least decent. But it's more for me so that I feel like I'm looking fairly decent to nice on camera, and it just makes for a more pleasant video conferencing experience for myself. I'm gonna have to do that all day. I like that a pencil is very forgiving, right? You can, if you don't like the way you've applied it, you can just wipe it off and start over. I like to do small flicks with a pencil. I always do one side better than the other, and it's really frustrating, but I find that small flicks give you the most natural look possible. In person, you can really tell that it's a pencil. I haven't mastered the way to not make it look like it's a pencil yet. People have all sorts of techniques. I've watched videos and just haven't gotten there yet, friends. I do like to add a little bit of length on the end to frame out my face and also kind of fill out slightly above in a random way so it looks as natural as possible. And so I've thickened up my eyebrows just a bit without getting too structured or too crazy with it. You do want to stay, at least I do, on the more natural side of eyebrows. So there, I've added some volume. I've filled in a little bit in between. And let's move on. Mama's running out of time, so Mama's gonna wrap up this makeup routine, okay? One of my favorite parts of the routine is the lip. So as I have gotten older, my lips have shrunken. They shrank. They're smaller. So I like to do a couple of things for my lip routine. One is put a little bit of moisture on. For me, this Aquaphor Advanced Therapy, it's like a Vaseline consistency, but it's in this tube, so I don't have to dig into that Vaseline jar. And I like to just put a little bit on to give a little bit of moisture, just like a dab, because my lips get dry during the night. Work that in, make sure I'm taking the excess off of the excess foundation and so forth off from around the lips. And I love playing with lip liners. The key to lip liner for me is that it has to be in the same tone of family, generally, as the rest of your makeup look. Oh my gosh, I have forgotten to put on blush. Hang on, y'all. Let's get this blush situation settled out. I have 3,486 blushes. Just kidding, but I have a bunch. And I want to go with something warm. I'm gonna choose something a little bit fun. This maybe is overkill for a work day, but I love these Melt Cosmetic. They're called the Digital Dust Duo Blushes. This one is in the color Queen Bee. And what it is, it's a compact. First of all, how cute is that with the little bee design? And it has like a honeycomb and bees that have been, you can still see that bee. There is some shine to this, okay? It's like a glowy product. I like to mix these and put them on my cheeks. You can also use this as eyeshadow or highlight. There are various techniques for applying blush. One of my favorite is what is called the Charlotte Tilbury technique. So I like to just pat in. I don't like to swirl around because you're picking up too much product. And if you think you've picked up too much, just dab it on that microfiber towel. But start back here and do the Nike swoosh. Yeah. So that you don't get like the glob of blush right here at the front of your face looking like a clown. We don't want to look like a clown. We just want to look, we want to look cute. Okay, cute. We're going for cute. All right. That's what we're doing with the blush today. What do we think? Let's do the lips. And then we're gonna do hair, and then we're gonna get the heck out of here. So because I have a warm look for the most part, I'm going with a warm lip color and lip liner. So I lied. I don't know that this is exactly warm. It might be more neutral. Maybe it's warm. And this is Grody, but it's the ColourPop Lippy Pencil in the color 3, BFF3. And I like to overline my lips. Big piece of advice, start in the middle and then work to the side. Sometimes when you start at the side, you overdo it and you get the liner down here and then you look like you don't know what you're doing, like I just did. One of the easiest places to overline is at the bottom and also at the top to just expand your lips out a little bit, give it more volume. I always do that. I always do the movement because it lets you know where the liner is going to naturally sit with your other lip. Whichever lip you start off with, make sure you do that to the other so that you can work with it instead of against it. Like this just went over my natural lip line on the top, so I'm just going to work with it instead of fighting it. there you go. Instead of cleaning that off to match my natural lip line, I'm expanding my lip line out. Some people like a really defined Cupid's bow in there. They like for this part to be pointy. I don't really like that. I like it to be a little bit softer and rounder. One of the things I love most about makeup is there are techniques, but in my opinion, there really isn't a right and a wrong way. It's whatever you feel comfortable with. There's a right and a wrong way for me, Veronica, that I'm not gonna wear makeup a certain way because I feel like I look like a clown. I don't like when other people look clownish, but I do like experimentation. I like it when people are bold with colors. I always like to fill, well, let's just say always. I usually like to fill in my lips with the lip liner because it serves almost as like a primer for whatever lipstick you're gonna apply. I like these ColourPop lip liners because are they even sold anymore? They're equal parts creamy and matte and stay in place. They're long lasting. So one thing I love about a good lip liner is you really could stop there. Like that could be my lip color. I'm good to go, y'all. But since I like to be extra, we're gonna put on some lipstick today. A really good lip color. This is from Shiseido. People don't really talk about Shiseido lipsticks a lot. I only have a few. This is in the color Thigh High, 504. Here's the color. I love that it's a nice warm color, almost like a brownish terracotta color that I think is very sort of mass appealing, especially if you have any warmth on your face. It's not completely warm. It's not a super warm color, but it's warm enough. Now, you could finish that off with a little hint of lip gloss in the middle, but keep it like this. Let's go to hair next and do a little jewelry and get that outfit on. What is this? This is the microfiber towel. Here's a little trick. This is what I used to take off all my makeup last night with my oil cleanser. And then I keep this towel out and use it to wipe my brushes down as I'm working during the morning and to do exactly what I just did. Get extra lipstick off, and then this goes in the wash. So I have a bunch of these in my drawer that I use for my nightly routine, and then they go in the wash. On a good day, I would either completely straighten my hair or curl it with hot curlers or a curling iron. But I'm running out of time today, so I got lint in my hair. Girl, get it together. Look at this rat's nest. But we're gonna make it cute. You ready? Let's do this. This hair I washed maybe 3 days ago. I wash my hair absolutely once a week and sometimes twice a week, and that's it. I don't overwash my hair. I do a lot of dry shampoo, and I keep my hair smelling good. If I get to the point where I think it's gonna start smelling, I definitely wash my hair. Nobody wants to be out here with stinky hair, y'all. That's nasty. But you see how it's starting to get a little bit greasy. I have naturally oily scalp, and I use a lot of products. So I'm gonna do some dry shampoo with the Aveda Shampure. This is a tricky product to use. It's a powder form, so I have to put my finger over the nozzle and shake it up, and then watch this. This stuff smells so good. I have already over applied. Bad YouTuber Veronica. So I put it in and I work it in. Nothing works as well as this in powder form. I have other spray dry shampoos that work really fabulously, but if you want a powder, if you don't want to fuss with all of the spraying, this is a really good one. And if you like the Aveda smells, have you ever been in an Aveda salon? You have to shake it up so the powder comes out. Those salons smell amazing. I could live in one. I want my whole house to smell like that all the time. Look at that. For those of you that have never used a powder dry shampoo, you may be going, ew, you're gonna have all that powder in your hair. But listen, it absorbs so well into the hair that you really don't see it or feel it once it's kind of taken hold. Anyway, you gotta kind of really work it into the roots It helps to add volume to do that to your hair. That's gonna be what it's gonna be today, y'all. I'm not doing anything fancier than this. Another day we'll do a curling routine. Let me get my jewelry on and my little outfit, and then we're gonna wrap this up. I am, like I said, working from home today, so I'll show you what I'm wearing in a minute, but I'm keeping it super casual. It'll be a full day of work meetings, and then I've gotta go grocery shopping and get ready for the weekend ahead. So here's what we're working with. I'm keeping it simple. I love these super oversized sweaters with these bat wings from Amazon. They're just so forgiving. I've gotten a little bit, chunkier with COVID. These earrings are from Defined Luxe Jewelry. I'll link it below. She's a friend of mine. Go check out her jewelry line, really fantastic. And then I'm just wearing a couple of pieces from the line by Susan Shaw. And my fragrance of the day, if you like fragrances, please check out my channel called Veronica Says. But on here, we're gonna talk about just a scent of the day, which is Barouge L'Amissat Oud. It's a woody, deep, smoky fragrance, really nice for the fall. Reminds me of fall nights. I am what's called an oversprayer in the fragrance community, meaning I spray my body down and spray extra on my clothing, my hair, behind my ears, and so forth. Gorgeous bottle, fantastic scent. I hope you have a fabulous day, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, friends.